At some point in your life, you will look at who you are and who you want to become and realize there's a gap between the two. The question is, how do you actually bridge that gap? Reinvention is a universal desire. Many people want to achieve a complete 180 of their life. However, not everyone succeeds because many people think you need to change what you do. However, psychology suggests transformation starts with something else deeper. Reinvention is the process of completely transforming, remaking, or redesigning something, like a career, a business model, or personal identity, so thoroughly that it appears entirely new. And there are many reasons why people want to reinvent themselves. This could include because they have some sort of deep insecurities about themselves in some way. They are emotionally exhausted with their life and the mundaneness of daily living, and they want to find a deeper meaning in their lives and feel more control. Or, a very common concept is because of the fresh start effect. And the fresh start effect is when people try to separate themselves from their past self psychologically after a specific event, like birthdays, Christmas, New Year's, etc. It's like, for example, every new year, people decide to make New Year's resolutions. They pay for a gym membership and they're determined to transform their life. And this is what the fresh start effect is. This is a big reason why a lot of people decide they want to reinvent their lives. However, this is not a good starting point to reinventing your life. As we know, not everyone succeeds in reinventing their lives. And this can be for a variety of reasons. Like the fresh start effect, the changes in their lives is started off purely based on motivation. And the thing is with motivation, it does not last long. It is a fleeting emotion. And once this motivation fades away and the novelty of this fresh start, whatever it is, wears off, people do not have that same drive to keep going. Another reason is that people do not plan for the challenges to their new behaviors. And this can be competing responsibilities in their life, maybe their work responsibilities, but it also could be their changes in willpower. If you don't know, your willpower at the start of the day starts really strong, but as you keep going through the day or you keep going through the week, it drops down. It gets harder to push through and keep going. The biggest reason though, as to why a lot of people do not succeed is actually because of the wiring of their brain. The brain is wired specifically to keep people in their comfort zone as a safety mechanism. The brain has a fear of the unknown, anything new, and it has a fear of failure. And the brain does not like when you try to force new action on an old identity, or when your actions and behaviors and your identity and your thoughts clash. This is known as cognitive dissonance. And the brain also loves to avoid using extra energy to create new neural pathways that could actually help with these new behaviors and new lifestyle. So a lot of the time, when people try to reinvent themselves, they think to change their habits first in order to become a reinvented version of themselves. And the mindset you have going into changing these behaviors actually really influences whether you will be successful. Like for example, imagine you intend to start going to the gym to either become fitter or lose weight, whatever the goal is. Prior to going to the gym, you have always been afraid of working out in front of others or feeling like an imposter in a new environment. At first, you might be able to go to the gym for a couple of days to a full week due to pure motivation and the fresh start effect. However, long term, your negative thoughts around a fear of embarrassment and being outside of your comfort zone will start to take over, especially on days where you have less energy or motivation, which will lead you to stop going to the gym, kind of like this concept of cognitive dissonance. Your new actions does not align with your actual identity. And there is also another psychological theory to explain this called identity control theory. Humans are wired for cognitive consistency, where the external behaviors match their internal beliefs. So, similar to cognitive dissonance, where your behavior does not match your internal beliefs, your brain prompts you to correct your behavior to match those beliefs. So this is actually the deeper thing that people need to target first if they truly want to successfully reinvent their lives. They need to target their mindset and they need to target their internal beliefs and try to change them to match the behaviors that they actually want to do. There are a few steps you should take if you do want to successfully reinvent your life, and this is all about changing those internal beliefs. The first step to reinvention is planning, and this is not a full-blown, really detailed plan. This is just goal setting. In this step, you can specifically list what sort of behaviors you want to engage in, what you don't want to engage in, how you would act, etc. It is completely up to you. There are no limits to who you could become. So after you have made all of these goals, doesn't matter how many, you need to do a brief personal audit. So you have the list of behaviors you want to engage in. Now you have to figure out, why am I not already engaging in these behaviors? You need to ask yourself this, and you need to be honest with yourself, because this is the key to actually figuring out how to move forward. Because from this list, once you ask yourself, why am I not going to the gym? Why am I not eating healthy? Why am I not doing this? You will be able to identify your limiting beliefs. In some cases, you might list stuff like, I don't have the money to go to the gym. But really, that in itself is a limiting belief. You could just exercise without going to the gym. You don't necessarily need to go to the gym. So this is why you need to be honest with yourself, because your mind can also try to make up excuses for yourself in real time. We know that the brain likes to keep itself safe. But after this, you're going to have a list of your desired behaviors, and then you're going to have a list of the excuses or limiting beliefs that you have in your head that is stopping you from doing this. After you have this list of limiting beliefs, you need to challenge those limiting beliefs and replace them with positive beliefs. So list all of the limiting beliefs down, and then next to it, write the exact opposite of it in relation to your goal behavior. So for example, if you have a limiting belief, say one of your goals is to make more friends or become more confident in social settings, you could have a limiting belief that is like, people will think I'm weird if I try to approach them in public. People will think I'm weird if I try to be myself. Whatever that limiting belief is, you just have to switch it and be like, people will like me if I come up to them and I compliment them. People will be happy to talk to me if I come up to them and start a conversation. It's literally just switching the perspective from being negative on yourself to being positive. So you need to replace all these limiting beliefs with positive beliefs. And with these positive beliefs, the next step is to have consistent positive self-talk combined with action. This is where you can actually change what you do. And depending on how many goals you have, you may need to work on each goal gradually and separately. Do not try to change your beliefs and your self-talk for every goal at once, because for a new habit to actually form and solidify and become automatic, it can take anywhere from 3 weeks to more than 2 months to make it automatic. So you need to work on each goal separately. Otherwise, you might become burnt out, and then all of this progress, all of this changing of your beliefs that's happening is going to go down the drain, and you're going to be back at square one. So this is actually the true way to really successfully reinvent your life. Don't just go straight into behaving the way you want to without actually doing the deep work first and figuring out why you weren't doing those behaviors in the first place. This is a reminder though that reinvention does take time. It is not an overnight change. So yes, you may be working on reinventing your whole life or an aspect of your life for quite a while, but it's much better than trying to force all of it at once and then you burn out. And it's always good to be kind to yourself and value consistency over pushing yourself to be 100% every day and then crashing as well.